California. I want to bring in Democratic Senator of California, Adam Schiff. And it's great to have you here, Senator, as we're watching very closely what is happening on the ground in your state, in Los Angeles specifically. And you just saw the mayor announce that she is going to be putting a curfew in place starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, lasting until 6 a.m. in the morning. It's just 1 square mile of the 500 square miles that Los Angeles is. But do you think that's the right call by the mayor?
I think it's a very reasonable decision for her to make to try to get beyond this period where people are exercising the right to protest, but also you have some agitators who are vandalizing buildings and who are using violence, and those vandals should be arrested and prosecuted. But I think it's reasonable to set a curfew and hope things settle down. I think, frankly, there's nothing the president would like more than to provoke a confrontation with either the Guard or he's called in the Marines. Both unjustified, I think unlawful steps by the president, but nonetheless a pattern we're likely to see replicated in other parts of the country.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the president. One thing that he has been saying today is that the protesters that we're seeing, the agitators, the people who are causing violence, are paid. We don't have any evidence of that, but it is something that he's been saying repeatedly for the last several days. And today I want you to play what he said in Fort Bragg about who he thinks is paying them and how he walked those comments back a few hours later.
In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists.
Mr. President, you're here to say that the governor and the mayor paid them. Do you believe that the governor and the mayor paid the agitators?
No, I don't say the governor and the mayor. I said somebody's paying them, I think. And if they're not, they're just troublemakers.
What's your response to that, Senator?
Well, this is Donald Trump being Donald Trump, basically making statements out of whole cloth, making the craziest allegations, then trying to deny them. You know, it's awful, frankly, to have a president that nobody can believe what he says from morning, noon, or night. But it's also quite traditional Trump, and that is he wants to justify the unjustifiable. He wants to create chaos. He wants to somehow pretend to be a president of law and order when his first act in office was to pardon hundreds of people who attacked law enforcement officers. So, you know, we've got this president who no one can really have confidence or trust in, and he's displaying once again why there's so little trust in him.
What is your response when the president says that L.A. would be burning to the ground right now? That's a quote, if the president had not ordered the National Guard to go into Los Angeles.
Well, this is another perfect illustration of Trump's repeated false statements. I mean, he's kind of a fire hose of falsehood. He made that claim that, you know, thanks to the Guard, things were settling down in Los Angeles before the Guard was even deployed or in position. So, you know, this is the president basically, I guess, speaking whatever comes into his head, no matter how false, no matter how improper. He at one point said he supported the arrest of the governor. It's absurd nonsense, but when he abuses the military this way, it erodes trust in the military. We in California, like in so many states, have a very close relationship with our National Guard. We revere our Guard. They're there to help us during fires and floods. They're there when we need them. And to misuse them in this way, and to misuse the Marine Corps, that we also really value and idealize their service to the country, when there are some real threats facing the country from outside the country, to deploy them in American cities, to try to intimidate Americans. It's just such a terrible abuse, but one I really think we're likely to see replicated in other cities.
Well, Governor Newsom's office is teasing that he's going to directly respond to the president tonight. In their release saying that he's going to speak, which I should note is expected to happen in a few moments, they said it'll be in response to President Trump's assault on democracy and the president's illegal militarization of Los Angeles. What do you want to hear from Governor Newsom tonight?
Well, I think the governor has taken the right approach, which is this is really lawless action by the president. It's an abuse of the military. It's a waste of taxpayer money. It's deliberately adding fuel to the fire. This is not what LA wants. It's not what California either wants or needs. The president ought to do his job, for crying out loud. He said he would lower prices. prices have not been lowered. Do your job. He said he would go after violent criminals who were here unlawfully. He's not. He's doing these pointless raids where he's sweeping up citizens and non-citizens alike. He's going after farm workers who do backbreaking work out in the fields. He's separating families. Do your job, Donald Trump. Focus on those who are violent offenders and stop raising the temperature in cities around America and stop abusing the military. I think that's what the governor will be pointing out, and he is quite right to do so.
What would you say on those two fronts, on immigration and on the National Guard? These are both things that Trump alluded to when he was on the campaign trail. One, they had signs that said mass deportations. And secondly, he also said that he wouldn't do what he did in his first term by not bypassing governors to deploy the National Guard when he wanted to. What would you say to someone who said, well, I mean, the president said on the campaign trail he was going to do this, and he was elected?
Well, he said a lot of things on the campaign trail, and often he said things that were mutually contradictory. He also said he was going to focus on deporting violent criminals. He hasn't done that. Now, he tried to paint everyone who was in the country who was undocumented as a violent criminal. That was a lie. And the fact that he can't find or doesn't care to try to ferret out people who have committed crimes and is doing these indiscriminate raids shows, I think, how he is breaking his commitment. But I think people voted for Donald Trump because he said he was going to bring down prices and he was going to try to improve the quality of life for the American people. This is not that. This is simply creating chaos in our streets. And if anything, this is his effort to distract from his needless and unsuccessful tariff wars, distract from his inability to bring down costs, distract from his fight with Elon Musk, distract from the problems plaguing his deficit and debt exploding big ugly bill, his raids on Medicaid and Medicare. So this is simply, I think, Donald Trump wishing to say, hey, don't pay attention to everything going on over here. I'm going to abuse the military and pretend to be a law and order president after pardoning hundreds of insurrectionists.
Senator Adam Schiff, we'll be watching closely, obviously, to see what's happening in Los Angeles tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.